You see, one thing is very clear to each one of us, that we cannot understand mind through our sense organs. You cannot see the mind because eyes cannot reach there. You cannot hear mind, you cannot smell mind, you cannot touch mind, because mind is beyond sense organs. It is actually a controller of sense organs. So through the sense organs you cannot reach mind, and that is one of the principal reasons that the modern science cannot understand mind. But modern science wants to reach things physically, observe them, document them, create an empirical record and tell you what it is. So the modern science can reach the brain. They can tell you this is the brain, this weight is so much and the neurons and there's electricity flowing all through, but they cannot tell you anything about mind. So to understand the mind, let me give you a brief outline of the spiritual constitution of the human body. If you go to a doctor, he will tell you that, or you also study in your books, the body is made of cells, and then there's a group of cells make an organism, and then the organs are made. For example, lungs are made, or your kidneys are made, or your respiratory system is made, and your brain is made. So these are various organs and systems in the body which a doctor can explain to you. But doctor cannot explain what is not sensible, which is beyond the perception of senses. So this is one way of explaining the human body, which is a physical explanation given by the science. They can only tell you about the functioning of the body, organs, and that too very roughly, despite tremendous research in biological sciences, in genetic sciences, in human what you call constitution. Science has not been able to understand the functioning of the body till date. It is the most complex machinery. Now this has been explained in Vedic science in very profound way. In Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 3, verse 42nd explains partly the human constitution. The similar explanations have been given in Upanishads. Now, that explanation, that human body is made of 5 gross elements of nature. Everything physical in this world, in this universe, are made of 5 gross elements of nature. Those are space, we call it Akash in Sanskrit. Akash is the word which actually explains everything, not space. So Akash, then air, fire, water and earth. These are 5 what you call great elements of nature, physical nature. Everything physical you see in this universe is made with the combination of these 5. You take this chair, you take this floor, you take this wall, you take this cloth, you take human body, you take an elephant, you take a plant. Nothing but these 5 elements, a combination of them. Physical part is made out of them. So the human body is made of those 5 great elements or gross elements, whatever name you give them. In Sanskrit they called Panch Mahatattva. That's the 5 great elements. Now, body is gross, it's a very miraculous machine. This is the most miraculous machine existing in this universe. You see, you realize the great power of body. Just I give you a few examples to make you understand that. We drink water, we take juice, we take milk, we take bread. Inside the body it converts into blood, flesh, neurons, bones. You see the miracle inside the body, how it happens. You put that in any laboratory, any machine, can you convert that into? It's not possible. Because there are certain systems in the body which make that happen. Each and every particle of our body is sensitive. Each and every. If it is not sensitive, there is some problem somewhere, isn't it? We always find by checking. And from this, such a sensitive body, from the body which is alive, you get this hair, you cut them, nothing happens. Dead things come out of the body. You see. So, these are just a few examples to explain the miraculous nature of human body. The electrical system, the circulatory system inside the body, the system of what you call to see. For example, eye is the best equipment you can see. Whatever camera you can use in the world, you cannot see better than what you can see with your eyes. Hearing, the best hearing equipment is your ear, nothing better than that. So, the body has all these miraculous functions. It's intelligent. It keeps telling you that this is time to take rest, this is time to eat, this is time to go to the bathroom, it is time to sleep. Doesn't it tell you all the time? Keep guiding you all the time. So, but body is not as powerful as we think we are. Body is controlled by your sense organs. You have 5 senses of perception. We know that. The first sense of perception is hearing. Second is touch. Third is sight. Fourth is taste. Fifth is smell. These are the 5 senses of perception for human body. We grasp the entire outside world through these senses. How do you look at me? You look at me through your eyes. You hear my voice through your ears. If I am using some smell, then you will smell that. And you will perceive me through the sense organs. The sense organs enables that a physical thing is converted into a software inside the process, in the process. You see me here, I am physically existing, but you perceive me, it becomes a software and it converts, it goes to your brain. You see how fantastic system it is, the perception of sense organs. You recognize the sound of a person, even if you are completely blind, you can't see anything, a person's sound you can easily recognize. You touch this and you feel this is wood immediately. You touch this is iron. You feel this, isn't it? So the system of sense perception allows you to perceive the outside world and take it to your brain. The communication system is so fast that you don't recognize the difference at all. It's like the film, which moves fast and you don't know that these are in broken parts, but it looks identical. You touch here and immediately it goes to the brain that this is wood. So the what you call the transmission time is almost nil. So the sense organs allow you to operate. This is the operating system we have. Because body is not operating system, body is a supportive system. Sense organs is you perceive the world. But sense organs are also not as powerful as we think. As I told you that even mind we cannot perceive through sense organs. The mind is superior to sense organs. Every sense must have the support of mind to function. If you want to hear me now, your mind must be with me. If your mind is not here, you will not listen to me. If your mind is in your house or in a shopping mall or in a cinema theatre, what I am saying will not be, heard by you. Sometimes we sit in front of a TV for half an hour and we don't know what happened there. Your mind was open. You flip through the pages of a book. You thought you have read 5 pages, but you don't know what was written there. Your mind was somewhere else. It happens to every one of us, isn't it? So the mind must be there with the sense organs to make that function complete. Otherwise you cannot complete that function. So the mind is superior to sense organs. And that is the reason you cannot understand mind through sense organs. As I told you before, you cannot see the mind, you cannot smell the mind, you cannot touch the mind. We understand mind through an organ which is higher than mind in our own system, which I am coming to now. The mind, beyond mind is intellect. The power of discrimination. You know, the mind will tell you, okay, let's eat chocolate. Then intellect will come into play, no, I am having diabetes, I should not eat this. I have a weight problem, I should avoid this. Something comes, isn't it, in the way? You know, you want to go wear casual clothes and go away. Oh no, I am going to a formal function, I must wear something, more appropriate. It happens every time. So there is a constant interaction between your mind and intellect, which we don't recognize. But if you observe it very minutely, you will find it. The intellect is different than mind. It's higher than the mind. And that intellect allows us to understand the mind. Through the intellect, we understand mind, that mind is in existence. Mind otherwise cannot be understood through sense organs. So these are the layers. Beyond intellect, there is another layer called ego, which I am not explaining right now. That is very important layer as well. But there are 5 layers. These are all physical layers. The body, the senses, the mind, the intellect and ego. Even mind is physical, even ego is physical. I'll explain you how. Now, in order to understand mind alone, we have to reach slightly beyond mind. You know, you cannot understand this eye with eye. Can you? You have to go beyond eye to understand this eye. And that is the mind which level. So to go beyond, this is the normal procedure of understanding anything. You want to understand the body, you can understand it through sense organs, you can understand it through mind, or through body you cannot understand body. Similarly, in order to understand the mind, we have to reach slightly higher than mind, that is intellect. The level of the intellect should be explored by each one of us to understand the mind. And that enables you to see what is mind, how it works, how it operates, all that. Of course, there is another layer beyond that which I will come back later on. That's non-physical layer. I am talking about physical layers right now. Now, let's talk about mind a little bit first, since that is the main topic of our discussion today. As I explained to you, mind is beyond sense perception, therefore you cannot tell me where the mind is, isn't it? But you feel that it exists. You feel it through your intellectual power. Now what is mind? If you think slightly, you will realize that the mind is the fastest traveling object in this universe. There is nothing which travels faster than mind. In a second you can reach New York, third second London, not even a second, a fraction of a second, to Australia and the moon and the sun and God knows where, which you cannot do through any other instrument available in this universe. It is the very fastest traveling mechanism. This is the only mechanism in the world, in the universe, which can take you back in time. Sitting here, you can go in your childhood. You can imagine that how you behave like a child, how you conducted, where were you living, what were you doing. There is no other thing in this universe which can take you back in time. But mind can take you back in time, immediately, and tell you all that. Mind is also a storehouse, a memory. All your life is stored in mind. You can start from your childhood and move forward and go to your present day. It's all stored in the mind and you can recall that memory. It's a big computer in that sense, in the body, with tremendous memory. And memories which are so graphic, you can even present them in the form of pictures in your mind, you see. You can imagine how you fought with your parents when you were at that age, or how you played with your friends in the school. You can imagine your school, you can imagine your classroom, you can imagine your teacher. You can go back to it. The mind is the storehouse. Mind is also very volatile. It just disappears, you don't know where it goes and where it takes you. You don't even realize. It's very slippery customer. It's so slippery that in a fraction of a second it just takes you away. You try to keep your mind, for example, you want to try to keep your mind on this book, and you will realize in fraction of a second it's gone away somewhere else. The book is not in existence. This is the biggest problem with mind. You think about this when you do meditation, you will realize how slippery this mind is. Then the mind is, as I was telling you before, it's physical. It's not non-physical. It's physical. Why? You know, you cannot touch it, but everything physical you cannot touch it. This space is also physical, isn't it? But can you touch it? In Sanskrit there is a word called nalimpyati. If you put hand in water, you will get water on you. Your hand will become wet. If you touch air, if the wind is blowing, you will feel it. Air is there, isn't it? But in this space you don't feel it. But it's physical, isn't it? It's an existence. You create a house on this and you demolish this house and again it becomes uniform. So mind is physical. Another reason why mind is physical, because anything physical, it grows with time and decays with time. Everything physical in this universe grows with time. Our body is physical, so it grows with time, it decays with time. This chair is physical, this building is physical, and the earth is physical. They grow with time, they decay with time. The pace of growth and decay could be totally different in different cases. For example, an ant can grow within a few minutes and become big and die after a few days. But on the other hand, a human being will grow very slowly and die after 50, 100, 70, 200 years, depending on how. So the earth also has that same aging process. Sun also has the aging process. Anything physical will have aging process. Now mind grows because when a child, his mind is very different. When he grows slowly, the mind grows. You realize? When you grow, your mind grows slowly. And when you become older, your mind also decays because then your memory starts failing and some of your imaginations and the functions of mind start decaying. So that is why mind is physical. But it is so subtle, though physical, but so subtle that you cannot perceive it physically. And that is the mind is all about. Now mind, all this has, but it's a very powerful instrument also. You see, it also controls your emotions. Sitting here, you can be very happy. No, I'm this. You think your mind and you become very happy. And you think negative things in your mind and become depressed and you become very unhappy. People commit suicide. Just because sitting, nothing physically changes. But the emotions, the thought process in the mind makes you think bad and you feel terrible. Nothing physically changes, but the process in the mind changes. So the mind has that. Mind has the power to take you on a higher level of consciousness. And that is the power which we use for meditation. Mind is, its power is tremendous. As I told you, it's fastest traveling, great memory. It can take you back in time. Nothing can take you back in time, but mind can take you. You can, for example, you control your mind, you can take your mind to your foot, to your toe, you can take it to your knee, you can take it anywhere. You should be able to control the mind. That is where we need to teach. Normally mind controls us all the time. We don't even realize there's something beyond mind. And mind keeps controlling us, keep directing us to this. We don't even realize all that, but we keep following that, the mind. Now we have to realize that there is something beyond mind and we will be able to direct the mind through that. And that is the stage which we need to reach. Once we reach that stage, then you can direct your mind and you can control your mind. You say my mind, isn't it? Eh? So mind is not me, it's mine. I possess it. Eh? This is my book. So I possess this book. Eh? This is my mind, my body. Means I am in possession of the mind. Mind is not me. But if you think quietly, sit down one day and you will realize that mind has been directing you all through. Without you understanding, how can I direct the mind? So don't allow the mind to become driver of your life. You should start driving the mind, and that is the process which can be achieved through meditation. Through meditation, you should be able to distinguish between mind and the self. Self, I have not talked about self. I talked about the 5 physical constituents of the body. Now, self is a non-physical constituent of the body. That self, you can call it, in Sanskrit we call it Atma, in English you call it soul, in some people call it consciousness, some people can call it self, some people can call it being. But that is me. That is why my mind, because mind should be controlled by that me. My body. Body is not me, my body. In all languages you use possessive pronoun. Why do you use possessive pronoun? Because there is some owner. There is some ownership, isn't it? Is that the language of the my? Is that the meaning of my? This is my shirt. This is my chair. This is my book. Means there is some owner of that. Similarly, my body. There is some owner of body. Who is that owner? My mind. Who is the owner of the mind? That ownership lies with the self. With the soul, self, whatever name you give, doesn't matter, consciousness. So we have to realize that. Now that self provides power to everything you own. When that self leaves you, your eyes cannot see, your ears cannot hear, your tongue cannot taste, your nose cannot smell, your hand cannot touch, your mind cannot think, your intellect cannot discriminate, your body doesn't stay for long, it just decays and dies. Isn't it? Well, that's what happens at the time of death. That self leaves you. What leaves? You can't see that because it's so, it's even mind we cannot see which is physical. This is non-physical and so subtle. In Sanskrit they have the word called suksham, suksham, suksham. They have given an example that you take a very small tip of your hair, very small tip, divide it into 100, take one part out of that, then again divide into 100, then take one part, then again divide into 100. Even that is not, the soul is even smaller than that. That's the example given in Upanishads about the size of soul. The soul is beyond our perception. We cannot understand soul with this body and mind because it is far more subtle than the body and mind. But we can feel, we can deduct, because something leaves the body when we die. And then all your senses, your mind, intellect, everything comes to a halt. They stop. And that is the power of everything is powered by that self. And that self can control your mind. And that is the purpose of meditation, to reach that self, to reach that soul. That there is something very powerful inside me which can enable me to control the mind, the senses and the body and everything else. Then you reach what you call a state of total freedom. Then nobody controls you. Mostly mind controls us all the time. So we are not free, we are controlled by mind indirectly. But once you have reached that state, then nobody controls you. You control everything else. And that is the state the Indian sages suggest that we should try to reach. If we want to really experience what we call bliss, the eternal peace, the eternal happiness, then you have to reach that state. You have to realize that existence, that you are the self. You are not body, you are not mind. You are the self. Now, you understand this? Do you feel what I am saying is making sense to you? Eh?
That makes sense.
Okay. Now, let me give you an example to explain self a little bit more. You see, after this program, you will all go home, you will take your dinner, and then you will sleep. What happens that time? Some of us go in a dreamland, isn't it? We dream in the night. This world disappears, doesn't it? This doesn't exist. None of us will exist. This room will not exist. This city will not exist. Perhaps the earth will not exist. And you will create a new land, a new earth, perhaps a new universe of your own in the dream. Imagine the power. Just think about the power, how it happens. In a few minutes it happens. Doesn't it happen? How it happens? Tell me. How it happens? There's some power inside which makes it happen, isn't it? That's the power of soul, the power of Atma. The human soul exists in 4 different states. This is the current state, which is, we call it Vaisnavar state, which you call it waking state also, where you understand the physical world and you can touch and your senses work. In the dream state, it's called Tejas state. Tejas means like sun rays. Everything becomes like sun rays. You also become like sun rays. Because you are actually sleeping on the bed. You don't exist. Your mind is not there. But you still exist in the dream. You are performing many things there. You are even fighting and eating and drinking and even going to a nightclub, isn't it? Sometimes in the dream. In the dreams, you see, you create all that. You exist in the form of ray, sun ray. That is the existence. It's called Tejas. Tejas means the light of the sun. That is the Tej. And that you exist in that form, in the dream. How it happens, you see? It happens because of this power of the soul. And then what happens? You fall deep asleep. No dreams. Everything disappears. This world disappears. This room, this city, this country, the oceans, space, everything disappears. No dreamland, nothing. Nothing exists. You don't exist. See what happens? It happens to us every single day, doesn't it? But we don't recognize it. What is that power which makes it happen? And when you get up in the morning, you say, oh, I had a great sleep. How do you know you had a great sleep? Who tells you? There's something inside which tells you, which take you into that state and brought you back. So that is the power of soul. I just to give you an explanation what that means. Therefore, we must understand that. That is the ultimate bliss for life. If we can reach that state, nothing else is needed in life. Because that is the entire universe. Once that leaves, this universe disappears. There is no universe. Everything goes away. As long as that exists, everything exists. Your body exists, your senses, your mind, this building, this country, this universe exists. Once that leaves, nothing exists. So that is why we call that is also universe. So this is what I thought I'll explain to you. And in this process, the power of mind is the one which can enable you to reach at that state, to understand what this self is and how to reach there. And when we do the practical meditation for a few minutes, I think we will I'll try to explain a little bit more. But if you have any questions, you let me know now. No questions? Everything is very clear?
No, sure, it's coming.
Eh?
The questions will bubble up.
Oh, well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the control of the mind, and it's my mind, how do you explain sometimes that we may be in the middle of doing something?
Yeah.
Our mind is concentrating on and focusing on that particular action, but your mind runs somewhere else, just like that, on a particular person or another action. How do you explain that uncontrolled state, that it just went that way?
No, the mind, you see, when I was giving the example of TV, you are watching a TV, you are sitting in front of TV, your eyes are glued there, but mind is somewhere else, so your function cannot be performed. It is a similar state. If the mind is somewhere else, whatever you are doing, you are not concentrating there. The mind has to be there in order to concentrate on any activity you do. That's why the teacher will tell you, mind your business in the class, don't do this and this. Every time, there are a lot of words which are used in, your mind is somewhere else, what are you doing? Isn't it? Teacher will say, mind your business, come here. All those things, because your awareness is gone somewhere else because of the mind. Mind takes that away. Yes?
In your opinion, how does, meditation and yoga enhance your essence of your mind or make it stronger or better performance?
Yes, I will come to this topic now. Let me explain a little bit, okay? You see, mind is like waves in the ocean. It is the surface. The ocean down below is very quiet. There is no movement. But on the surface there is so much movement that you cannot see the ocean at all. In order to see the ocean, you have to go down a little bit, isn't it? Once you go down, you feel the entire world exists. There's a huge civilization that exists there, with all the fishes and God knows all kinds of marine life. There are mountains and there are trees and there's all kinds of life there. But from the surface you can't see anything, because the mind is exactly the same thing. Mind keeps our awareness blinded. So you can never reach that level of depth unless you can control those waves in the mind. So controlling the waves, bringing it little still or bringing it less volatile, making it less volatile, is the purpose of meditation. So that you can actually look deep inside yourself and see who you are. You get the point? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm meditating, I'm using a voice in my head to say my mantra, and I might be repeating the mantra in my mind while I'm meditating, and then I find after a little while I realize that a whole nother voice in my head is thinking at the same time. So I am maintaining my mantra, but another voice is having a whole-on conversation in my head. So what is that to the mind?
You see, the mind, as I told you, is so volatile. It slips away and you don't know what is happening. You are telling mantra, but you don't recognize that you are telling mantra. Your awareness is somewhere else. This happens, and I'll explain this to you when we do a practical session why it happens. You have done snorkeling, I'm sure some of you, because you are living there. When you go out of that small little boat in the sea, the boat owner puts a rope or something around that. You take your snorkeling kits and you go out, and he tells you that this rope is here. In case you feel uncomfortable, pick up this rope and come back. Isn't it? That's the purpose? That's the purpose of mantra. Purpose of mantra is that mind slips away. And when that is like a rope, you come back to mantra and you become aware that you are here. So the purpose of mantra is exactly like a rope on this in the snorkeling, exercise. So you pick up that rope and come back to the boat. Same way you pick up that mantra and come back. As soon as you realize you are entering mantra, you become aware of yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is the purpose of mantra. So mantra you can choose whichever, or sometimes your gurus can give you mantra. But the purpose of the mantra is basically, as soon as your mind is strange, it brings you back. It makes you aware that yes, you had gone somewhere else. Come back. That is the purpose.
Good question. I know this is slightly off topic, I hope not, but in the state of dreaming, sometimes, is it possible, like, I've experienced many times in what I would know to be a dream state, but to actually like awake from the dream but feel real physical feelings, like whether it's I've been in an accident in a dream, but I wake with the pain of actually being in that. And I always have very clear recollection of all of my dreams, like very clear.
It's possible, some people have clear recollection, some people don't have recollection, some have very partial recollection. Some people have this physical pain, for example, in a dream you got hurt and actually you are having pain.
Right.
So you see, the body and mind are connected. In the dream state, you go to a conscious, subconscious and unconscious mind, where there is a collection. That is non-physical state. Because all this memory of your current life and the past life, they are stored in your mind somewhere. Not in brain, but in your mind. And in the dream state, sometimes you go back to those memories. And those memories are appearing in the form of a dream for you. They are coming in the form of rage, in front of you. And that is where your body gets involved, you feel it. That is the process. So, in that state, the soul goes and reaches the, what you call the collected memories of ages. We have all gone through many, many births. And there are a lot of stored memories of all that. Some are good, some are bad, some are painful. So sometimes some memory comes out of it and then it converts into a dream. And the stronger they are, the more likely they're likely to come back in dreams. That's how it is. And that's why there are some people who do regression. They take you to those memories and they enable you to realize that pain and then you come out of it. So there's science in that process of regression. Yes.
We were talking about the mind and the intellect. How the intellect makes sense of what happens in the mind. You say that the intellect is something much simpler than the mind in terms of it is so structured that based on how we are socialized is how we interpret things that happen in our mind. So then our intellect is not really real, it's something conditioned then.
Intellect is simpler than mind because it discriminates.
Right.
This is good, this is bad, this is legal, this is illegal.
Yeah.
Mind is amorphous. It keeps moving in all directions all the time. It doesn't allow you to get a clear view of things. To get a clearer view, you have to go to intellect. That's the discriminatory process. Like if you buy, for example, some gross wheat into the market and in the wheat there are other things as well. In order to take them out, you have to apply your mind and take them out, isn't it? Same way, the mind keeps rolling here and there. To keep it under some kind of control, you have to use your judgment, that is intellect, your discriminatory process. So that the first process of controlling mind is intellect. As I gave the example that, for example, you want to eat chocolate and all of a sudden you realize, no, I am a diabetic, I cannot take. Like that. Or, you are going to a friend's house and you will think, mind, oh, tell me what gift I carry, whose birthday, this particular day. Then you apply your judgment, isn't it? That is not mind. Mind is, it's beyond mind. So beyond mind is intellect, which keeps a track of the mind all the time. But it doesn't succeed in keeping that track fully, because mind is so amorphous that it ignores the intellect also and goes away on its own quite often. You know, you feel that if you commit a murder, it's not good, it's legal, illegal, and you could be in prison, but still people commit murder because the mind goes beyond intellect. They bypass the legality, they bypass all the consequences, they do it. A smoker knows that it's not good for my health. That intellect keeps telling him all the time, but still he smokes. Because the mind, like this, you see. This is, sometimes mind is beyond control, it goes beyond intellect. And that's why we have to look for another power which can explain us how to keep it under control.
Why does the mind, or people, I guess their mind is in control, but why does the mind resist when it's trying to be disciplined through meditation or some kind of spiritual upliftment? Why do, not the mind, why do people resist that?
That is the very nature of mind. You know, mind and wind, they are made of the same material. Wind also you cannot see, you can only feel it. You know. They are made of the same material. Like wind flows all the time, you don't know how it flows, goes here and there, no control. Same way mind has no control. That's the very nature of mind. And that's why it just keeps slipping away. That is the way it is designed. It's the manufacturing default.
What then is awareness? Where does awareness come from?
Sorry?
What is awareness?
Awareness comes from the soul. Soul. All awareness comes from soul. The mind operates because of the soul. If there is no soul, there is no mind.
You said above the mind is intellect, and above the intellect is ego.
Yeah.
So what is the ego's role in this? What is the ego?
Ego's role is very devastating, you see.
Yes.
I didn't want to go into that subject now. You see, ego transcends everything else. You have good friendship for 20 years and somebody come and hurts you, you feel hurt, it may not be necessary hurting. And your 20-year friendship is destroyed in a second. That is the role of ego. The mind goes away, the intellect is failed. Intellect will say, you know, why are you destroying it? It has existed for so long, but no, ego goes beyond that. For example, you meet a Prime Minister and you don't give him proper respect, you're finished, you know. Next time, the most of the wars in the world happen because of the ego. If you look at the history of the wars, they happen because somebody got hurt. In the First World War, there was a prince of Austria who got hurt and who was, attacked in a city called Sarajevo, and that led to First World War. So many wars. Second World War, you look how it's all the time ego which comes into all this way. You call a professor in the university, Mister, his ego will be so devastated that he will not look at you next time. He said, Mister, I am professor. What do you think? I am professor. Isn't it? You will realize this, you know, the whole protocol is made to satisfy egos of the people. The higher you go, the higher the ego becomes. This is the big problem. The more you rise in life, both in terms of power, in terms of knowledge, in terms of wealth, your ego goes up. A poor man has no ego, but a millionaire has ego. You have to treat him in different style. Otherwise, he will not talk to you. You see, we'll talk about ego on some other day. Let's talk about mind today. So if you are ready, we can do a small session. Do you want to do? I would prefer to sit down. If